What's up, guys? Welcome back to Breakout Trading. Today is Wednesday, May the 13th, and I ended up trading two stocks today. So one of them was that Beyond Meat swing trade that I was talking about in this video here, my last YouTube video. So this was I was talking about Bitcoin, and then I was talking about this CODX breakout here, how it formed this ascending triangle, but there was no volume or anything, and check out what it ended up doing today. So it ended up blasting above even this high here back in February. So that one's going to be pretty interesting to watch tomorrow. Going to be probably some shorts stuck in that, even though it was a pretty bullish looking structure. I'm not sure, like that is a clean all-time high breakout. So we'll have to watch that for sure tomorrow. This thing could run. So that'll be on the watch list yet. And then it is a little overextended, but I think it's got definitely room for a pullback push tomorrow. So yeah, we talked about that one in last video, and then the trade today, the Beyond Meat trade. So obviously in this video you can see I got this resistance line, and that's pretty much what I was basing this trade off of. And turns out that what I should have done for this trade is I should have waited for more of the backside of the move. I went a little too aggressive in right here, and then I actually, after this video, I ended up taking like a bike ride, and I realized that like it's an extremely obvious like play. It's a very obvious short, and I remember I was watching these videos and like all these people were talking about it, and like Beyond Meat, it's gonna be like such a good short, and there's some guys I follow, they're buying puts. So like when everyone has the same idea on a trade, it usually doesn't work. So in this case, it ended up going past that resistance line I had, and it ended up stopping me out by like 50 cents today on Beyond. See, this is the daily close here. You can see that this is my stop loss that I had preset. So right now it was at 147 was my stop loss. And in the video you can see that's right where it is to 148, 147 level. I said if it gets above that, I'm out, no matter what, because then this thing's probably going to squeeze up if there's some good news or something. So yeah, unfortunately getting stopped out by a very small amount, and I'll show you how small of an amount it was. It was pretty brutal. So that is that's TradingView. We went over CODX. I'll go over this trade right now. Bitcoin still kind of in this. My original short idea was pretty good. Never really met my target down here at 7,770, but overall, we're kind of coming up and retesting this trend line, looks like, with the RSI, and I think we might make some kind of double top, but overall still making higher highs and higher lows, so we'll keep an eye on that one, although once again I don't have any Bitcoin to actually trade right now. So Beyond, we'll talk about that first. So I have some screenshots here from today that I'm going to use to go over. So yeah, so this is where I entered Beyond Meat on, what was that? May 12th. So yeah, that was yesterday, Tuesday. I entered at the start of the day because I was, made that video. I told you the reasons why if you want to go back and watch it. There's no really fundamental reason I'd be shorting Beyond, but from a technical perspective, it looks really good. Next time though, gotta wait for the move to have its apex, its peak, and then short on the bounces on the backside. Don't try to jump in front of like a moving train that's still going up, right? So I was pretty expecting of a short squeeze, especially after yesterday. So I entered here, and then pretty much right away after I entered, this happened. And you can see that here's 147 level here. It was just barely below my stop loss. And I remember yesterday something I was thinking was like, oh, I'm getting like rewarded for not touching my stop loss and not bailing out. And then it also formed this kind of bull flag, and I was getting ready for this thing to just break to the upside and stop me out. But it didn't. It came all the way back down, and then I was like, okay, that was good that I held that. Obviously, I was still kind of break even overnight. And then this morning when I woke up in pre-market, we were pumping up again. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably going to be the time I get stopped out today. Here's the open here. You can see from the surge of volume, and it pretty much guns it directly for my stop loss. I mean directly. This is the high of day right here at 147, and I literally got stopped out. I'll show you the order. So right here, bought Beyond at 146.9 for a $66 loss. Ouch. So not the best, but also not the worst, because I followed my strategy perfectly. You can see right here the high of the day was 147.55. So exactly 60 cents was what I got stopped out by, 60 cents. And then you can see that this thing completely tumbles down. So at first that was pretty painful in the morning, getting stopped out there and then seeing the SPY come down and the whole market come down. You can see this was the morning here. So obviously I got stopped out at like 10 a.m., 10:30. Oh, my head's in the way on that one. But the time below like here was about 10 a.m. and you can see that correlates with this pump. We had this huge doji candle on the 15-minute and then reversed, and you can see everything came down really hard. This was a huge dump today, and I ended up making back some of that $60 loss, actually doing another short position on VTIQ, but I'll go over that in a minute. So anyways, that was pretty painful. Honestly, it's hard not to get a little bit emotional when you take a $67 loss and then realize literally the one wick of the exact high of day was the one that got you, and then you see this. But at this point I was kind of thinking, you know, it's not the worst. I'm still would have been like around break even. I should have waited for the downside move in this trade. It wasn't a good entry in the first place, so that's alright. And then, you know, Beyond Meat in the market kind of rubbed it in my face even more. So you can see after I get stopped out again at the high of day here, we not only blast back down to where I was entered here, but we have a massive dump, which I probably would have covered into for a very nice profit. But that's not what happens today. Today, this trade was a lesson in sticking to your plan, following your rules, not getting emotional when something like this happens, when you see literally, you know, an hour or two later, if you just think to yourself, oh, if I just move my stop loss up a little bit, or I just took my stop loss away because I knew it was going to reverse. You don't know that. You don't know that it's going to reverse, so there's no way you can predict that. You don't ever want to get... I've gotten caught in a few short squeezes before when I traded Bitcoin, and they're pretty terrible because, yeah, you just completely lose everything because you keep adding. And that's the other thing. I didn't add on any of these moves up. I didn't add to my position at all because I don't add to losing positions. So yeah, I'm really happy with my performance still. It was really hard to see this. It was pretty emotional, but I just, you know, took a step away from the computer, took my dogs for a walk, made some breakfast, and then you kind of just have to get over it, because that's part of trading, is you're going to get wicked out like that some of the time by 60 cents, and then this thing dumps what, like, yeah, a lot. That would have been a really nice trade, and it just goes to show that I had the right idea. Like, what I was doing wasn't, you know, totally wrong. I was wrong because I could have entered here, or I could have entered here, but I should not have entered here before the flush. And then again, who knows, if SPY didn't dump today, maybe this thing would have kept rallying up, and it would have been, I would have been saying to you right now, oh wow, I'm so glad I had my stop here. But you know, that's the important thing. I'm really happy that I managed my risk there. So yeah, getting top ticked may be pretty emotional, so I just went and took a break. The best thing is I executed my plan perfectly. In my book here, I have the trade. I have my entry is 134 for 5 shares going short, so that's right down here again. And I had my stop loss was at 148, so right where it should be, 148, 147 area. And then I had my 3 take profit zones at 118, 105, and 95. So we haven't even hit my first take profit zone yet, but I think that I probably would have taken some profit there, honestly, because I would have been up really nicely. Probably would have been up like 60 something bucks there, so maybe like 40. So definitely would have taken some profit there, but that's all right. So yeah, that was Beyond, and then it actually turns out that end of day, this thing kind of turned around a bit. Once again, entry here, stopped out here, and you know, it had a big bounce up, and once again, if I held through the whole day, I still would have been break even. So overall, this just goes to show that this was just a bad entry, not a bad trade. I had the right idea, and seeing as though this thing is the same level as my entry, I can always get back in. So maybe I'll take a look at this tomorrow. You know, I still got the chart up here, and now we have a nice big red close. The thing is that yesterday we didn't have a big red close, right? It was green, green, moving up, momentum still there, and now you can see RSI, bit of divergence here from this high, higher high, high, lower high. The stochastics are starting to cross a bit here, and our MFI is not giving us the best signal right now. But so, I think this trade is still actually intact. I'm gonna wait until we get a bit of a move downwards and form a bit of a top resistance that I can manage risk with. But that happens. You can't get upset if you get top ticked like that. So that happened, and I just kind of hung out for a bit. Didn't try and jump right back in, which once again it would have worked. So these lessons you have to teach yourself is that if you get stopped out and you're pissed off, immediately you jump back into the trade and it works out, well then you've taught yourself an extremely bad habit. So I stepped away from it, didn't even look at the ticker, didn't look at the stock, because that's a thing that I sometimes do, is if I lose money on a stock, I try and just get right back in and get my money back, revenge trade, and that's a horrible way to do it. So at that point I was down 67 on the day, and then I saw VTIQ pop up. So this stock, I've read into it a bit. Basically, I'm not too sure why it pumps so much. I'm not going to read all that news, but this thing was completely parabolic. So you can see this is the daily chart here. And at this point it had run up an extreme amount, and this is one of the new patterns that I trade courtesy of Trader AD, is the parabolic counter trend move. So you can see this is pretty much a giant short squeeze. You can see it has the parabolic volume signature, and also just the structure itself is extremely parabolic. So the best trade on this guy is a nice short once there's a big sign of weakness. You don't want to jump in front of, once again, you don't want to jump in front of a moving train. And this just goes to show, this could have happened with Beyond Meat. It can happen with any stock. This is why you have to manage your risk in a short, more so, well obviously manage risk in a long too, but more so in a short, because with a long, the most the stock's ever going to go down is 100%, whereas a short, you can get short squeezed, you're down 400%, and you lose your entire account. So it's completely okay that I got stopped out on Beyond. I predetermined in my book on Tuesday how much I was risking on it, which was $67. I have that written down in my book, and I lost exactly $67. It was hard just seeing it rally right into my stop loss and then reverse, but that's okay. I was prepared to lose $67 on that trade. It was a good setup, and 9 times out of 10, or maybe 6 times out of 10, that setup's going to work. And if I have the right risk to reward ratio, I only need a 60% win rate to be profitable trading that setup. So anyways, this thing, huge parabolic move, and then I was kind of watching it at this 29-24 area, because if you look here, it's some pretty clear resistance, and it was banging along this as support. And the time I entered it, it looked like this, so before this big red candle. So it was still cranking up, and I thought this thing's looking nice for a short. So what I did is, we'll go back down to the 3-minute. So this is obviously the open here, and saw that it was still ripping up, and then as it was ripping up, pay attention to the time here at the bottom. You see that just down here. So it's 11:15, and then if we bring the SPY over here, right at about 11 o'clock, this is when everything started to really roll over today for about an hour. From 11 till 12, the SPY dropped from 284 to about 280. So pretty big sell-off there. Everything started selling off in the whole market. You could see that. And this thing being already somewhat weak in this big parabolic uptrend, I thought that this would be a good time to enter short. So I saw that it was kind of rallying up all day, still making those higher highs, higher lows. And then I saw this big sell-off right here with some nice volume. There was, almost 1 million shares traded in this one, compared to, like if you look, what I'm looking at is right here. I have a little volume indicator, so when I put my cursor over a candlestick, it says the volume. You can see volume was kind of light, and then a big red volume, so I waited for a retest of VWAP. Got short around here at, what was it? Got short TVIQ at 31.30, so right here. I kind of missed the entry a little bit because I was talking to my girlfriend. So right here got short, and then I ended up I'm covering too soon. Here, let me go to the screenshots. They're easier to see. So yeah, we're running up, drop down right here, come up, retest a VWAP, and I knew this is going to be resistance, and I wanted to see a rejection here, especially when that EMA comes down and helps it go. So I got short right around here, and then I was watching this, again, this 229.24 level because of that hourly support level, and you can really see it actually right now. Right here, you can see how vital that was even throughout the day. We ended up bouncing back up, so luckily I took my profits on this. Yeah, so I went short here, and I pretty much just covered like around here, which turned out to be really nice. And then, because I was expecting some sort of bounce off that 29.24, so I made back a decent chunk of that loss beyond meat. So I made 31 there. So still ending the day down 20. I didn't really want to push it because morning's usually the best time for setups, and after the huge market sell-off, usually everything's just kind of going to chop around after a big move like that. So I got my move, I got my 31. Yeah, and then once again, should have held a little bit longer on that. See, this is another issue I have, is I entered here, I was managing my risk right above VWAP there. That's what I had my stop loss set for, because if this thing breaks above VWAP and these high here, I'll get stopped out. So risk here, entry here, and I'm holding it, and I see it bounce, and then I'm taking my profit, but really I should have held until I saw this crack, and I could have sold into this huge move for a massive profit. So once again, I have the right idea, also good entry, good risk, and to reward ratio. You can see that the range of my stop loss is much bigger. And I originally told myself that too. I said I'm going to hold this thing for the break of 29, and I got a little bit scared here because I thought it was going to bounce up, which, you know, once again, I wasn't wrong, because look what happened end of day. This thing ends up, once again, this is just a different time frame, so it looks different, but entry was around here, stop loss here, sold right around here, and then this thing had that huge flush, but then it had a huge reversal upwards. So pretty good place to take profit. And you can see, actually, this is interesting, first time I'm seeing this, is that originally my idea was this would be VWAP, okay, whoops. This would originally be resistance here. What's going on? VWAP resistance, and you can see throughout the day, here's VWAP resistance, pops its head above, rejected, and then end of day VWAP resistance. So VWAP, you got to learn how to trade that because it's really useful. So yeah, that's about it. 2 trades today. Unfortunately, taking a loss, but recovered a bit of it on that VTIQ trade. I'm really happy with that one. Yeah. Yeah, I need to work on that issue of holding the winners. Whenever I see like you know, my P&L going up, I always just want to take that profit. But if I don't let the trade play out, then my losers are always going to be bigger than my winners. Yeah, so in hindsight, still a great cover. I'm glad I didn't re-enter short because this thing did once again rebound upwards. So yeah, I kind of knew that. Once there's a big impulse move in the SPY, just step back for a bit because it's probably going to consolidate a bit until it finds its legs again for the next move up. So for tomorrow, oh, this was another one too. So correct. So this is a lesson in managing your risk. I didn't trade this one, but look at this huge bull flag pattern. I probably would have been loading up on this thing for the break. Has the breakout with big volume. So this is when a ton of people would have been entering in, and then it has this huge fake out. So that's a lesson I just wanted to show right there. And no matter how good the setup looks, like look how nice that setup is right there. Like, that is a nice looking bull flag breakout. No matter how good it looks, you always have to have a stop loss. You always have to predetermine how much you're willing to risk on the trade. And also just look at CODX here. Huge short squeeze at the end of the day. So we already went over that earlier. So yeah, that's about it. Anyways, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Adios. Good luck.